Welcome to the Purity Pulse podcast, your go-to podcast for the natural health industry and everything purity life. I'm Julie.
And I'm Erin.
And today we're going to go through our regular check-ins. We have our friends at Chaw's that are coming, so that's going to be pretty fun. And we're going to take you to what's new to purity life.
Of course.
Yes.
So Julie, we're there. We're in the week of the big birthday celebration.
Oh, yeah, the 5-0.
Yeah, so Julie's birthday's on what, Wednesday technically?
Friday.
Friday.
Yes, on the 22nd. And that made me think about aging in general.
I bet.
Yeah.
I think birthdays always do a little bit.
Yeah, it does. But I talked to a couple of people who turned 50 and it goes from the spectrum of, this is great, I'm aging backward to, oh my God, my life is over.
Right.
Everything is down from here.
Yeah. Where do you sit on that spectrum?
I totally sit on the other side. I honestly think I'm turning 30, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't really think about age ever.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And even thinking about, what you can do constantly. I think I'm on trend with our industry of thinking about how to reverse or how to, everything you can do to keep proactive and being younger and not only in face care product, but everything we do and we put in our head. And
it's true. It's across the board, right? It's there's the obvious like activity level and what you're putting on your skin, but it's also what are you doing for your own mental health, and that end as well.
Absolutely.
And keeping on learning, how do you keep your brain going and continuous learning and continuous change and all of that. I think that becomes so much more important as you age, right? As you're young, when you're young, you almost do that automatically, and you have so much to learn. Obviously, like when you're little, that's a whole thing. But then the older you get, it's so easy to just kind of get comfortable and stop really pushing yourself to learn new things outside of your comfort zone.
And I think that's a big thing to get back to trends and what we see in, generally speaking, right now in the industry. And even, I don't want to allude to our trends talk, but we've captured a lot of very good data, and we absolutely see that people want to keep being curious about life in general. And I think that's part of the essence of life. Yeah. And sometimes, and I, think about your parents back in time. 60 years old, like 55, they were thinking about retirement. Yeah. And then 60, that was it. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's when, they're watching more TVs. They don't necessarily have hobbies because their life was their job and bringing money and food to feed the family. Yeah. Where today, I am going to turn 50. Yeah. And if I look, I'm far from thinking of retirement. I can tell you that. Yeah. And it's more totally the opposite of performance. And I think that I'm not the only one in this case, because you look at the market and trends and how even what's trendy in supplements, performance nutrition is really driving a huge growth.
It's got a lot more mainstream.
Absolutely. Hydration came out of that. Yeah. More protein, more support. And that's where I think that it's that we're calling aging, but that performance, and the 50 and the 60 is definitely not what it was. No. 20, 30 years ago. Yeah. So
it's not nearing the finish line. It's
no. Yeah. There's no finish
time to
line.
gear up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's totally the way I think. Like there is no finish line. It's like what 50? And you think about people when you were younger that were 50, and I'm like,
isn't that the strangest? Right. I think that's the thing that makes it always weird is when you look back and you're like, 20, 30, 40. Well, when you were such age, you looked at the people that were that age, and oh man, that seems so old.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Well, we're preparing my birthday, and we're looking at old picture when I was younger. Yeah. And oh God, I look at the hairdo, I can tell you it was back in time. Yeah. So stay tuned for that.
Is there a highlight there? What kind of a hairdo did you have?
Yeah, I might share some pictures later on after, but yeah, definitely. You can see that period.
Yeah. This week's episode is sponsored by Antipodes. Experience the essence of New Zealand with Antipodes, your passport to radiant skin. Unleash the power of nature with Maya Hyaluronic 72-hour Hydration Serum. For dry and dehydrated skin, this serum uses a clinically proven marine algae compound to provide up to 72 hours of hydration. Hydrate, plump, and target fine lines, while bamboo, cucumber, and manuka honey help to lock in moisture. Backed by science, Antipodes delivers world-leading efficacy for a truly transformative skincare journey. Embrace nature, embrace beauty. So thanks to Matty and Marise for coming. You guys from Chaz, maybe you guys can tell us a little bit about the roles that you have within the company. Matty, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Matthew Caspersz, and I'm the Director of Sales and a partner in the brand of Chaz Organics.
Okay. And Marise?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Marise May, and I'm one of the co-founders of Chaz Organics, currently occupying the role of VP Marketing.
Amazing. Okay. So we know there's a lot of kind of values infused into your brand. Can you tell us a little bit about the inception of the brand and what drives it?
Sure. I think Marise can actually speak to more to the inception of the brand because she's a co-founder with her husband.
Oh, amazing.
And I joined a little bit later, actually. So I'll let Marise kind of handle that.
Yeah, sure. So, Chanaka and I launched Chaz Organics nearly 17 years ago now, with the vision that we wanted to bring sort of the best of Sri Lanka, which is where Chanaka comes from, to Canadians, to Canada, which is where I come from. So it's really a marriage of both worlds. We're a family business, and we just love cooking with healthy Ayurvedic-inspired ingredients like the spices, the turmeric, the coconut. And we really saw a need for higher quality cooking ingredients here that we were happy to fill while supporting fair trade organic farming practices in Sri Lanka.
That's amazing. I think I had a little cafe with Matthew, and he was mentioning that the name changed actually from. So I wanted to hear a little bit about that because there's always a lot behind a name of a brand and the flow of where it is today. But what was it before? Yeah.
Well, originally it was Arayuma, which maybe Marise can explain what that means.
Yeah, this was also right before Matty's time because he actually arrived right at the same time as our rebrand. So we can never really tell if our sales exploded because of Matty or our rebrand.
It's because of Matty. Let's just say both. How about that?
Both. It was serendipitous timing. We had a brand earlier called Arayuma, which actually means invitation in Sinhalese. Sinhala is the language they speak in Sri Lanka. And it is actually a beautiful name. We had a whole vision behind it, but we found it very difficult for people to say. They were often like mixing it up. Arayama, I heard a lot. Arayama. So we realized it was really a tongue twister and it wasn't helping our brand. And so when we decided to rebrand to Chaz Organics, it was really to bring us as people to the forefront, like specifically Chad because he's from Sri Lanka. And also there's a deeper meaning behind it because it is an Ayurvedic brand. Our corporate name is actually Sahana Ayurvedic Products, and we do have a vision of an Ayurvedic lifestyle. It's all plant-based, it's all healthy ingredients. So we actually have a deeper meaning behind the name Chaz Organics that most people don't know. In Ayurveda, there's an ancient text called the Chadaka Samhita, which is the first written manuscript of like medical knowledge that we know for humanity. And that's actually part of the inspiration of Chaz Organics. So it's Chanaka, my husband, my partner, and also the Chadaka Samhita is like the deeper meaning behind it.
Oh, nice.
So when I started, I was like, I really hope they're open to a brand rebranding because nobody could really say Arayuma or it didn't really resonate with anybody as far as its meaning.
Yeah.
And everybody would refer to our brand as the one in the box because we had little spices in boxes.
Right.
Or when it came to the coconut milk, it would be the one with the elephant because we had elephants on it.
I said that myself, actually.
That's right. And nobody ever said our brand name because nobody could pronounce it. So it was a really positive move, and it was probably the most quickly embraced rebranding I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is fantastic.
So I know that the brand is very strong about empowerment and fair trade. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For sure, yeah. I'll start it off and Marise can add to it, I'm sure.
Go ahead.
We work really closely with all of our farming groups as well as processors in Sri Lanka. We kind of the way we vision our brand is like we use food as a vehicle for empowerment and creating vibrant communities, not only abroad in Sri Lanka where we source probably 99% of everything that we sell, but also here by bringing nutritional foods to people's tables that actually taste really well.
Right.
Yeah. So our tagline is bringing flavor to the table, because what we believe is, so many food trends have come and gone. I've been in sales for over 20 years now, and I've seen so many trends come and go. But one thing that's stable is people always love great tasting food. So yes, what we do is try to bring empowerment and using food as a vehicle to do that.
Excellent. Anything to add, Marise, to that?
No, I would just say that, I'll just quickly say that for us, fair trade and organic, we believe in those principles, not just as labels, but as foundations for how food should be grown and also traded. So as a brand, for us, that's a given that if we're going to be working with farmers, we'll want to treat them fairly. And if we're going to be selling food, we want it to be organic, because obviously who wants to use slave labor or bad, trading practices that are unfair, or have your food contaminated with chemicals? So for us, it's just an obvious choice. And how we position ourselves really is as a culinary gourmet foodie kind of a brand. We don't really fall back on fair trade or organic as a marketing tactic. It's really just for us a given, because food should be fairly traded and not contaminated with chemicals. And I think what we do is we go beyond that to also bring, like Matty said, flavor to the table based on those foundational principles, but we really try to offer something more.
Yeah, and I think I want to bring up, and we were very happy to have you guys coming to be able to express that, because for certain people that are not necessarily in the industry, or they are in the industry, they see other brands, they see your brand, there's trends, as you talked about, and you're a stable brand. I mean, you're not following trends because, it's keto and then suddenly it's just meat and then you add this to your mix. So you mentioned that you had like a very good like growth in the past year. So how would you explain that in the fact that you have a stable, I would say, listing, you have, new things, but how did you achieve that? Because most brands would say we're doing line extension with something that is following the trends because we need to catch up on that. What's your secretary?
Well,
trendsetters, not trend followers.
Exactly. One thing one of our mantras too is that we're a small team but with a big impact, and the impact really comes from it's no big secret. It's just a lot of hard work. Yeah. We have a very committed team, and it's just about being out there and working steadily and every day making one small step to get to where you need to go, right? And that's the way I look at it. If I can make one step every day to get further to my goal, well, after a year, you've made 365 steps to get there, right?
Yeah. The 1% rule.
Yeah, there you go. So I think it's just being committed and putting a lot of hard work in and creating relationships that are positive and writing off different success stories. Because when you put the right steps in place, success no doubt will come eventually, because you do have setbacks and learning curves, of course, but eventually you do get those successes, and then you get those success stories and then you share them to build more.
Yeah. And would you say, Marise, that if you look at your product assortment and the mentality behind, because it's good food, and I mean, with COVID and everything, everybody realized, we're eating more home, starting to cook, learn to cook again. I mean, your brand is perfect for that. So would you say that not just that COVID was a great thing for everybody to realize that, but because wholesome and the high quality of your food make that difference in people wanting more of that?
For sure.
I absolutely agree. I think that also in this day and age, consumers are becoming more educated. They have better access to information. And so they really understand the difference that a healthy diet can make, and choosing the right ingredients and, which additives could be added to your food. For example, our coconut milk is gum-free. A lot of people appreciate that because, well, heck, why would you want an extra additive that you don't need in your diet?
Right.
Why do you want bleach and sulfites and everything else? You don't need them. But I think that beyond that, like I said, I was kind of joking, but I really do think we're trendsetters and not trend followers, because for us, it's a mix of, I'd say, products and people. Like Matty mentioned, the people, the team that we have, and the people we work with in the industry, such as yourselves, Julie, your amazing team, all the partners we found along the way, our retail partners, our distributors. We have so many champions of our brand, people who I think we're like a family in this industry. And so
family.
There's the people, which we love, and there's the people side, and then there's the product side, because obviously you can be great people, but if your product isn't good, then it's not going to go as far. Because the consumer also at the end of the day has to fall in love with your product. And I think one thing that sort of set us apart as a brand is that we really came from a nutritional science background. I have a degree in nutritional science. And right around the time I met Cha, when we were traveling, I was traveling in Japan, working there for a year, and he had been living in Japan for 7 years. We actually met in Tokyo. Oh, wow. And we were in our 20s, we were going to nightclubs. It was like a different lifestyle than obviously two kids in the business. However, I was coming out of a nutritional science degree, at UBC. I wanted to travel a bit and discover the world. And I was really fascinated with traditional diets and Asian diets. I loved everything about Asia. That's why I was in Tokyo, but also South Asia and Ayurveda. I was very into that. And this was, like early 2000s. So at the time, Ayurveda wasn't as well known as it is now, but I had found out about it and I was convinced that it was the future. Like back then I said, okay, in 10 to 15 years, people are going to be really into this stuff, and turmeric being medicinal and coconut oil being good for you were not really well known back then, but I knew that. And so I already had kind of a passion and a vision for that. And when I met Cha, it just made sense because I was like, hey, you're from the place where coconuts come from.
That was just the bonus. Yeah. That's funny.
Listen, I fell in love with him because he's a great guy and obviously he's good looking, but he cooks very well too and he's great food.
Good food.
That's not lie.
The full circle, full circle there.
The full package. But that's I think awesome. That was, for us, the product selection, really basing it on coconut and healthy fats and turmeric, which is anti-inflammatory, and these like medicinal staple foods that everyone needs and you can easily adapt to any recipe, was sort of part of our vision of bringing healthier foods and speaking to people through food instead of just through like a clinical practice or something, which I really steered away from.
Nice.
What would you suggest? Because we had the chance to taste and experience the whip coconut, and then your little roll in it, dipping it in it, and we started thinking about, hey, stores should do that as a in-store kind of tasting occasion, and then have your products in the back. Do you have other ideas like that to help the store to have that, share that experience because of all your spices and flavor of everything? I'm catching you on spot right now, but
that's okay.
Yeah.
I find demos can be very successful, but they can also be very hit and miss. And sometimes the more complicated you make a demo, sometimes you end up changing the conversation as to what the product is all about, and you're talking about how the dish was prepared or something.
Right.
And then you're losing the whole
That's a good point.
message of the demo. So I like to keep demos pretty simple, and the coconut whipping cream and the coconut rolls is just such an easy thing to do, and you don't have to spend a lot of time explaining how you made it. So that to me is really important because
speak about the product.
We constantly throw the idea of like, we have Thai curry kits, we have heirloom rice, we have all these spices, and I've done a ton of demos myself. And the ones that were most successful were really like the simple, get a can of coconut milk, I threw in some frozen raspberries, a little bit of maple syrup, and that was the most successful demos. But when I did rice good. And then and made yellow rice, which is just beautiful spiced yellow rice with coconut oil and everything, and I just noticed I was talking about how I made the dish.
You didn't burn it, and it tastes good.
Right?
Exactly.
And I wasn't talking about how the product was grown and all the attributes of the rice and all the spices. I was telling them how I cooked it.
That's a really good point.
So I think keeping them simple is really good.
Okay, that's a good point. Marise, anything else to add in something you've seen?
I've done those curry demos too. I agree. It's a lot of fun. People love it, but they end up asking you a lot about your recipe and how you cooked it. And the whipping cream, it's chill, whip, and serve. So we always say, just chill, whip, and serve. You put it in your fridge for a few hours, you whip it, it's ready to go. It's so easy to prepare. So that doesn't take a lot of explaining.
And it leaves so much room to speak about the brand and the brand story and all of that background and whatnot.
Exactly, yeah.
You spoke a little bit about consumers and the amount of information that you can kind of feed to them. Your digital is very strong across all platforms.
Thank you.
We love it. I mean, we're always interested in kind of what's going on with that, me in particular. Have you had any content really just that's surprised you that it's just ran away or anything that's had really significant impact?
So thank you so much, because I do handle all the socials myself and pretty much everything visual right now. So I'm definitely a busy person, but it's my passion, So when we communicate, we want to communicate from our heart, from our purpose, and there's really no way to delegate that. So I do handle all the socials. I think what really surprised me the most, in 2021, we went to Sri Lanka for 4 months. It's the longest I've been able to stay there because with COVID, all the trade shows shut down. The kids had no more recitals. Everything was kind of on pause. So we said, hey, this is a perfect time. let's go to Sri Lanka and spend some time because we have family there as well and the producers. So it was really a rare occasion for us to really travel and visit so many of the farms and really get to know our products, for me especially, better because Chanukka goes more often. And some of that content really went viral and really resonated not only with Canadians, but with Sri Lankans as well. Really? And I think it was really cool for us to be able to bring like a deeper story. You know, we have a great video you can watch online where Chanukka and Matty go and they visit all the farmers. It's amazing, half-hour video. You can see all the processing. But I felt like just having like, you know, Instagram stories going all the time and people were really watching. And some of those posts got like thousands of likes. And I noticed it wasn't only Canadians, but Sri Lankans too, which
that's neat.
I really love because one of our purposes is not only to bring amazing food here, but to show people in the country where it comes from, which is Sri Lanka, that hey, Westerners are into this. You know, this is cool. This is like a trend, because so often it's the other way around where they see what we have as different and better and exciting. So really to value that heritage, the agricultural heritage, the food heritage is so important for us. And it was exciting for us to be able to make a name for ourselves out of a lot of that content and get that following over there as well as in Canada and just like really bridge that.
So what we do is we kind of bring things back to the roots, right? And if you go to a lot of Asian countries right now, like American or North American fast food chains are gaining popularity, or cafes are popping up, or you know, different Pizza Huts or McDonald's or whatever, chains, and young people are really embracing that.
Right.
But what we try and do is kind of we're circling back and saying, no, it's like look back at this is trendy over here. And it's really important for your health.
There's value,
There's a lot of value in it.
Yeah.
So that's I think, as Marie said, that's a really important message that we try to get out as well.
Wow.
I just want to mention two of my favorite social media things, actually. Well, first, I'd say our video, which is a little bit long. It's half hour, but it's not boring, I promise. And I should preface it by saying it wasn't scripted or anything. It was very raw. And organic. And so that's a really neat thing to check out on YouTube. It's called Bringing Flavor to the Table. And it's just basically me and Shaw visiting a bunch of farmers and processors and being really silly. And,
sounds great.
Well, definitely watch. Yeah, that definitely.
It's a must watch.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite posts actually is this. I don't even know who it was, but she posted that if there was an apocalypse in the world, the one thing that she'd be doing, and she's running away from a health food store with cans of coconut milk, our coconut milk, and she's got this big smile on her face, like she's going to be okay because the apocalypse is here, but she's got coconut milk. So that's one of my favorite ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I know that you've launched sort of bridged out with your with the organic coconut rolls. Is there anything like that you're sort of not you're creating trends? Is there anything else in the preparation that maybe you can't share because you'll keep it for shows or trade shows? But are you cooking something?
We always have many irons in the fire, so to speak, and we've kind of actually tried to step back a little bit because we launched a number of categories through COVID.
Yes.
And in retrospect, it's probably not the best thing to do because we didn't have shows to get it out to people.
Yes.
And retailers' focus was not on bringing in new products necessarily.
No.
They had a lot of other challenges and things to take care of at store level.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think we still have work to do on categories that we launched that are very exciting and great products that we need to make sure that the distribution is out there.
Yeah.
But that said, we always have so many things that we're looking at. And I can't say we've pinned it down to one thing that we're going to do in the near future. We still have probably about 5 or 6
many
things
ideas.
That's exciting.
So we'll divulge that.
Yeah, actually, Chad just returned from Sri Lanka a couple of days ago. So we have a whole bunch of new ideas and inspiration and samples and whatnot that he's excited about and we're excited about. But like Matty said, every product launch, it really requires focus and work. And we did have to catch up in a few categories that were launched during COVID. So there'll be more excitement to come for sure, but you guys will be the first to know.
Perfect.
And that's what we try and do. Like, we're never a Me Too brand, right? We always try to bring something new and exciting and innovative, which has its own challenges because sometimes they're a miss, sometimes they're a hit, right? We launched coconut cubes, for example. And when we launched it, it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We had so much excitement around it, but soon, maybe a year, and realized that people really don't know what to do with the coconut cubes, right? So some of these innovative things that we come up with, they have a big educational piece behind it, and if you don't have the energy or the resources to put into that, then that item will end up getting discontinued, even though it's a neat item. Right?
Yeah.
So
It's so true. A total other category, but we saw that with the bar soap, like hair bar soap. Everybody was on board saying this is great, but then once it's on shelf, nobody really know how to use it, so it stays there. But the brand is like, this is great, but you need to say why
exactly.
and how to use it. Yeah, definitely. But I think that the story also you have behind, and for us, I mean, we've been working with you guys, but it's kind of another level of discovery of all that you do and all the Ayurvedic story behind, and the doing, the feeding people well with high quality product is definitely what separates you a lot from others too.
And that's something that we really consider when we're launching new products. It's like, okay, how is it, it's one thing to come up with a great food item, but what's the story behind it? How is it empowering people? How is it helping people? How is it making the world a better place? And what's the story that we're going to tell with this product? And if it doesn't have those attributes, then it's not for us. It might be for another brand, but it's not for us.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah, that's great to mention.
To that end, so you have all of these values-driven things about your company. How does that impact your company culture? Is there anything about, like, within your company that kind of sets you apart in how you create your company culture?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe I'll
let Marise start off on that, and then I'll add to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll speak to that quickly. Well, like as I mentioned earlier, we did originate as an entirely fair trade brand. All of our values are really based on that principle that all trade should be fair. And just to give you a little bit of a background on fair trade, which most of our products are fair trade certified, and the ones that aren't, we deal directly with processors and producers who we know very well. And we know that everything there is fair trade plus, but with or without the certification. But what it really guarantees is fair labor practices, fair wages, minimum price, plus premium, and it really empowers communities abroad, who are growing our food, which is so important because people don't realize that a lot of these commodities, are grown by very, very impoverished people, impoverished communities where they don't even have the basics to live. Their children are working on the fields instead of going to school. And so what we do is we give back to those communities. We provide school equipment. We provide, for example, some of the projects have like sewing machines provided for women so they can make an additional income. It goes way beyond just the price of the product. It's really about empowering communities. We've even built preschools with some of the fair trade premiums and donations that we've made for our producer communities. So it's really exciting. Chanaka just came back and he donated some shoes and some school books. I'll be making a little video post soon. It's very touching actually to see what we can do through our projects that we have here over there. And then in terms of our team culture, we really build on that to try to treat our team the way that we would treat, family. We really are a family business. So everyone that we bring into the team, we want them to feel that. Recently, we adopted officially a regenerative design process, which we did a whole training on and a roadmap, and we've really put those principles in operation for the past year and a half now. And the idea behind regenerative business design is that we're not machines. A lot of the old school business thinking is very mechanical. It's very top down, and it treats people as cogs in a machine. But of course, we're a living system. So it really goes back to a living systems approach, and it looks at the principles of regeneration and applies those to our organizations. We're really proud of that and what we can bring to our team culture through that kind of practice.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not only do we think about empowering the farming communities that we work with, but within our own office, you should be able to say and act, as a free person and be able to express yourself. And, and when it comes to the regenerative organic structure, it's like, what can we give you to make you flourish and grow in your role? So that's what we try and do and accomplish in our work environment.
That's very interesting. Can you tell us maybe a couple of examples of how you've been able to, how you apply that within a company? That's pretty new to me.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot of getting feedback. It's like if you're facing struggles and if you're facing challenges, there's a tendency for people in their workspace to silo and not speak about it.
Right.
And just kind of, especially when I find when we hire a new person, it's like we'll throw a lot of stuff at them. And they want to be really proactive and take it all on. But at some point, it's going to be too much because you can't just say yes.
Yeah.
So it's about reading feedback, but also trying to get them to feel strong enough and empowered enough that they're able to give you the feedback. Like, no, you need to slow down. I'm overloaded, and we can, redirect some of those jobs that need to get done. Right. So I think it's about listening. It's a lot of listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also
and
like
it's never perfect. It's never perfect. Like it's always
never perfect.
Yeah,
it's an evolution, and it's really about like sort of feedback loops and monitoring what's working, what's not working. Okay, if we picture, for example, I'll give you an example of a principle. We picture our ultimate goal. What does abundance look like? What does the dream look like? And then we go back, we say, well, what are our obstacles to that? And if we look at those obstacles, what systems can we put in place to solve that? Because it's not about just beating people over the head and telling them you need to do better.
Right.
It's about being more of like Matty doesn't like this comparison because people are not plants, I know, but I still like the comparison. Being like a gardener, where you design a garden or a permaculture system, you're looking at how things work together, how people work together, how processes work together, and putting the right ones in the right place and tweaking it as you go and always monitoring. Because at the end of the day, it's all about putting in the structures and the systems so that abundance will be the natural outcome. So we're not really pushing for this wealth and this like outcome that's over there. What we're doing is we're trying to put in place the right systems and the right process and the right people so that abundance should be the natural outcome. And like it's working actually. So it's a great process, it's a great system, and it's nice to go through because you really learn a lot about yourself, your company, and your team in doing it.
Yeah.
and for some people that might not work.
Yeah.
Some people just want to. They're okay being a cog in a machine.
Yeah.
Having a little
The very structured environment,
role,
and then it's
we're such a
plug in
small,
and
lean
out.
team that
Yes.
you do wear a lot of hats, and,
Right.
and
Yes.
you have a bit of a more complex role.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily for everybody.
No,
So
absolutely. But that's good that you know your values, where you stand, and then you can work with that. And
Yes.
your overall story is pretty fantastic, definitely, and your values. Should we jump into some little rapid fire questions?
Oh boy.
Yes. Okay, so I'll start with one that is, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done? We'll start by you, Matthew.
Oh boy, you have to start with me. Okay, so two of the most adventurous things I think I've done. I'm gonna say two because I think they're tied in how important they were in my life, and they both date back a number of years. So in 1998, I was a dreadlock hippie guy, and still a hippie actually, but there's no more dreads. But so I did my first trip to Sri Lanka, and that was to reconnect with my roots. My parents immigrated from Sri Lanka, so I had family there that I had never met, and my mom has always talked to me about it, told me about it, and I was always I'm a foodie, so I spent a lot of time with my mom in the kitchen as opposed to with my dad in the garage type of thing. Right. So I would always get the stories of, how things are cooked and how things are made. And here, so reconnecting myself with my motherland, so to speak, was probably one of the most biggest adventures I've ever taken in my life. I had almost no money and decided to do it anyway. And there was the middle of a civil war going on there as well. Wow. So it was a spiritual adventure as well as a physical adventure where I really reconnected myself with my roots and felt myself being a more whole person after that. And that's what actually inspired me to cut my dreadlocks, as I felt I didn't need them anymore. Oh, wow. Because I understood who I am on a much deeper level.
Yeah.
So that is probably the first one, the very life-changing experience. And then the second one would be opening in downtown Guelph in the year 2000, Year of the Dragon. I opened an organic grocery store with a best friend of mine at the time. And it was just an amazing year and an amazing adventure. I would never do it again. It's a lot of challenges, but
good learning.
But definitely good learning. And it set my life on a different path that I didn't see it going. And
connected you with the industry.
Connected me with the industry, but also so many personal connections came together in that store. It was really a hub of like-minded people in downtown Guelph at that time. I met my wife there. And my business partner met his wife there. Oh, wow. And many of the people that I met during that time in the year 2000, I'm still connected to on a very deep level in my life. So those are probably two of my biggest adventures, I'd say.
That's life-changing, definitely. How about you, Marise?
I wanted Matty to answer that one because I'm not as adventurous. It's not true. I think I don't realize sometimes that, I'm not someone who likes roller coasters. I don't like, crazy action, but I will take risks. So I guess if, similarly to Matty, I guess the most adventurous thing would have been very similar to Matty when I was younger as well, in the early 2000s, just sort of taking off to Tokyo, graduating from school. And really on a whim, one day I just decided I'm going to go. And it was because I had been before. My best friend was studying Japanese and she was on her last year of exchange there. And I didn't have a roommate anymore. Vancouver was expensive. So I said, you know what? I'll fly over and come meet you over there. So, I got my working holiday visa. I just said I'm going to go spend some time with no particular plan. And I met Cha within about a month. So then the rest is history.
Wow.
So that was a pretty life-changing, adventurous thing. And it was within a day. I just said, you know what? I can't find a place. I'm going to come to Japan. So it was pretty, no real plan in place. And it changed the course of everything.
Yeah.
So that was pretty adventurous. And then,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Starting a business. It was also obviously quite, at the time, starting a business, we didn't have any actual business background or education or any money, and I was pregnant. So everyone thought we were completely insane, but, it made sense to us. So I didn't see it as adventurous, but now looking back, I guess it was.
Yeah, for us listening to what you're saying, actually, the roller coaster is just like here,
right?
Really here. What you've done is like way above.
Every day can be a roller coaster for us when you're in business.
That's life, right? Yeah. Something on your side?
Yeah. I'll start with Marise again. What was the last thing that you intentionally learned?
Oh, intentionally.
Intentionally. Yeah, that's a key word.
Intentionally. Let me think, because I learned how to make a really good ital stew.
Yeah.
Which is Jamaican stew. So I looked it up, I found a recipe, and I've kind of thrown things together, but I really learned how to make it well.
Nice.
And I put the spinners, the little dumpling, I rolled them up with some gluten-free flour, and I added a lot of our spices. I kind of, made a Chaz Organics version, and it was actually delicious. That's probably the last thing I really looked up and tried to learn. Fantastic. So again, back to food.
That's okay. We like that.
I have to answer too, I guess. So maybe if I say intentionally, because I learned a lot of things just in very strange and unsuspecting ways, but intentionally, I did Tai Chi a couple of years ago, and I loved it. I have since taken a hiatus from it, but it was a really great experience.
Oh, wow. And finally, a light question too, but what is your favorite supplements that you use? Because I know you have lots of food, but what is your go-to supplements that is a non-negotiable for you?
I'll start with this because I kind of know it. It's actually not. I don't take supplements actually at all.
Okay.
Actually, I might take a multivitamin once in a while. But I generally try to get all my nutrition through food. So lately, every day I do a shot of, I get our moringa. So we have in this bag over here, moringa in this size format. Yeah. And so I'll get like about a teaspoon and a half of that in a little jar. And then I get hemp oil from Manitoba Harvest, and I squeeze a bunch of that in there. And then I add in a brand called Subi, which I don't know if you guys know that. Yeah. So do you distribute that?
It's like a juice brand.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just basically a super dense green powder. So I'll add that in and shake it up with some water, and I do that shot every day. And that's like
kind of an elixir of
exactly.
health.
It's alkalizing. It's anti-inflammatory. It's full of nutrition, the moringa and the phytonutrients from all the greens in there. And so that's what I do every day.
That's a good one.
That's creative. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. And for you, Marise? Yes.
Well, for me, like a couple are a little bit boring because I'm vegetarian, so they're very predictable. It's like activated vitamin B12, iron, a little bit of zinc sometimes, vitamin D, but like those are very kind of, I think, almost standard, run of the mill. One thing that I really can't live without, it's like if I have to travel and I bring one thing, is my oil of oregano. Because you can just use it for anything, right? If you get sick, if you have a skin thing, anything really it's good for. And I have to credit some of my love to that for a good friend, Dr. Cass Ingram, who really popularized oil of oregano and recently passed away. So sending Cass a lot of love, wherever he is looking down on us from heaven for popularizing that product for all of us, because it's such a great product. I actually had a chance to travel with him in Sri Lanka, and he brought his own with him, and it was just, it's an all-arounder, you can fight anything with your oil of oregano.
The essential. So exactly.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for all the time you spend with us today. I think we absolutely enjoyed our time and get to know more about your company and all the
learning and the values behind it, and was fantastic.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you. And I can talk for another hour if you want. Totally fine by me. I can talk forever about our products.
You said foodie. We'll need to have some cooking going.
Sure.
And have
Next time we'll do a cooking demonstration. I'm down with that.
That's it.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to speak about it and talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed it. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, absolutely.
It is time for New to Purity Life, and this one looks yummy.
Absolutely. We are looking at some whipped cream and some organic coconut rolls.
Yes, we've got a Chaz special today. So the whipped cream, I'm dying to put my fingers in this whipped cream, it comes right out of the can, and our amazing Amber on hand here just chilled it and then used like a beater.
Yeah.
And out it came, just like that.
And for those who are listening, it's amazing, like the thickness
of
the product.
Thick, eh?
It's good for all your desserts, something fun. Even in store, I'm thinking doing that as a demo.
Yeah.
You can have little cups. It's easy, doesn't require a lot of work, and it's super fun. So it's a good way to have like a healthy snack, even when you have kids at home coming.
My kids would love this.
That make them think that they're eating bad things, but it's absolutely not. And again, the easiness of it is great. In store, you could do a nice end cap and just have that right there to taste. And we're both looking at it like, oh my God, we want to taste it so bad.
Right,
so let's do it.
And the coconut rolls. So these, they're like an inch and a half tall, and they're kind of like the purlines that we had when we were kids that have like the
a wafer that are kind of rolly wafers, so very light, crunchy. They're non-GMO. Organic, vegan, and they have different flavor. We have the ginger and we have the original that is basically coconut flavor. And let's dip in. So sorry for the crunchy for people who are listening. Oh my God,
I feel like we should give them the crunch.
I'm doing mess here.
Oh
my God.
That's really yummy.
We'll have to stop the New to Purity Life right now. I need to eat more of these.
This would be perfect to do some demos with.
If you haven't tasted, honestly, you're missing something.
And that's it. We've come to the end. I kind of want to go back to our New to Purity Life segment so we can eat some more whipped cream.
I know. I keep thinking about where am I going to put all that whipped cream on?
However, that's the end. So thanks again for joining us. We have so much fun with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow Purity Life at Purity Life Health Products LP, and myself at Erin G. Macklin.
And JD_Girl Power.
And next week we have Susie York.
Yes.
The CEO of 4X Better Chocolates.
And the Women of Influence
that's right.
as well.
That's right. So that'll be a good one too. Don't miss.